You're with the Break-a-Leggers!
And we are in the Midlands in Nottingham at the Nottingham Playhouse
To see the musical, The Last Ship.
So stay tuned to find out how many legs,
Whether it's break a leg
or leg it. Before you awesome people go any further,
To make sure you've always got your finger on the theatrical pulse,
for honest theatre news, reviews and interviews,
hit subscribe. Just now.
Hit subscribe down
That'd
below.
be fantastic. Also, if you bang the bell, just get a little notification when we post a review. That's nice.
Yes, and let us know about this production, which is currently out on tour, so I'm sure it's coming to a town near you.
Yeah, absolutely. Or anything else you're excited about, let us know. So, The Last Ship, music and lyrics by the one, the only
Sting,
yes. This piece is directed by Lorne Campbell, who's also written the book for this production. The musical premiered in the US.
Yes, on Broadway.
Well, it made its way to Broadway after a Chicago tryout.
Oh, did it?
Yep.
It didn't run for very long on Broadway.
No, it struggled to find an audience and closed after 3 months, despite Sting himself going into the cast in an attempt to keep The Last Ship afloat.
Yes, now that book was written by John Logan.
Yes.
Who also wrote Red, which you can catch our review of just up there.
You can indeed, but it's been totally reworked by the director of this piece now, so he has written the book for this new production. Despite it not working on Broadway, it did pick up 2 Tony Award nominations, one for Best Original Score for Sting, and the other for Best Orchestrations. That production had a British cast, really. A lot of them were British, including popular actors Rachel Tucker, Jimmy Nail and Sally Ann Triplett, sort of big musical theatre stars within there. Fast forward to 2018, as you mentioned, it's now on a UK tour, and this cast includes Richard Fleeshman, who you may know started off Coronation Street, but he's gone on to do musicals, the original Sam in Ghost. Also Joe McGann, Paul McGann's brother, best known for The Upper Hand, and James William Patterson, who we saw in The State of Things,
again,
yes.
which you can catch just up there.
That was a British brand new musical, brilliant, up there for our review. Anyway, this show is 2 hours and 50 minutes long with a 20-minute interval.
So stay tuned so we can tell you how many legs at the end, and stay around for our 30-second interval breakdown.
We've come to the interval for The Last Ship, so it's time for the Break-a-Leggers 30-second interval breakdown. Go! What do you think?
I think it's really good. Some really nice music. The cast is absolutely fantastic. It's a really strong, gritty piece. I'm loving the way it's staged. A simple set, lovely use of projection. I'm enjoying it so far. How about you?
I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's a heart story about the closing of steel works for shipbuilding, but it's got so many more levels to that. Beautiful stages, as you mentioned, projection, performances. I am loving it so far.
We've come to the end of The Last Ship here at the Nottingham Playhouse, currently on tour. So, what did you make of that?
I loved it. I thought it was beautifully staged. I thought it was well choreographed. I thought it was really well directed. I thought the book was a real standout point. It is to shipbuilding what Billy Elliot is to the miners' strikes. That's the best way I can put the book.
Yeah, and almost like a bit of Made in Dagenham in there as well, as kind of the industrial...
Proud of being a worker.
Proud of being a worker and standing up for your rights and challenging the political direction kind of thing.
Yeah. For me, where it sagged slightly and started to feel a little bit long was unfortunately in some of the score. A lot of the songs were very samey for me, quite ballad heavy. There was just a certain tone. I mean, Sting's music has a certain sound to it, and I could definitely hear that within the, you know, the numbers that are in this show. But there just wasn't a lot of variety, and also the way they were tied together wasn't brilliant.
Since you touched on the music, I've got to say I enjoyed the songs. The thing is, I just felt it was quite disjointed to the rest of the piece. A number came, it was a very good book, very good story, I was engaged, and then it would be the singing point, so you'd have the starting note, and then they start singing, and then the song would end, and then we'd carry on with the play. And then next song would come, we'd have the song, and then we'd carry on with the play. It was no kind of underscore or kind of continuation. I almost wanted it to be more jointed together. It seemed a bit separated. I enjoyed the piece though. I did feel for the characters. I think it's quite clever in its staging and the way it's been set up, because they come and talk to the audience at the very beginning of each act, so you have a real strong sense of community, and on stage they present a real strong unit that you feel a part of, and you feel for these characters.
That was absolutely the strength for me, almost emotionally, towards the end of the show, when these people feel they've achieved something as a community and are proud of what they've achieved. There was a real believability about it. Every single member of the cast, I have to say, was totally invested in their roles. You know, even the minor characters, just the onstage ensemble, I believed every movement they made, every expression they had, and every line that they may have said with absolute and utter conviction, and that is a real treat.
Yeah, they were fully invested. They gave 200%. I believe that their lives and their livelihoods and everything that they were was at stake and was on the line.
Absolutely.
Which it is, and I think that's what's nice about this, is it is high drama.
Yeah.
So we're having a peek at a real dramatic moment in their lives. So there are interesting stuff going on that you care about.
I like the fact that it is fairly adult as well. There's a realism with the kind of grittiness of that part of the world where they are quite flippant with their language, let's say. They're a bit loose and easy, you know, swearing is part of their culture, fighting is part of their culture, and that was delivered with real believability, and I just liked the fact that it didn't pander to an audience. It was quite raw. I loved that about it.
Yes, so let's move on to some characters, performances that stood out to you.
Yeah, I thought Richard Fleeshman as Gideon Fletcher. Now, you've not experienced him before, have you?
I've not experienced him before.
At all.
Not that he's aware of. Right. So he's great. Do you know, he's got a real quality of Sting's singing voice.
Yes.
Which I only kind of tapped into in the second act. I was like, oh, okay, I can hear Sting singing this song. His vocal, almost tone, the breathiness of his voice. Brilliant casting in that regard. But it wasn't a kind of, not cliche casting, wasn't like
a stunt.
It wasn't stunt casting. Like, he actually was very good. He's a very solid, good actor. I believed everything he was doing.
Yeah, and I think since I last saw him, which was in Ghost many years ago now, he's come a long way in his acting. There was a bit too much of it in Ghost for me, but yeah, again, in
too much acting.
Yeah, no, just a bit. Almost hammy, a bit chewing the scenery.
Okay.
But not in this at all. I believed he was from that part of the world and inhabited that sort of environment. I loved him in this. I thought he was great. Also, I thought, I know you particularly like Kevin Wathan as Davy Harrison, the drunk sort of ill-educated. Actually, he's got a lot about him, but not taken so seriously character.
Do you know what I loved? I just loved the tone of his voice. I want to see him sing some big stuff. This lovely gravelly tone. He'd be great as a he's probably got recording credits in terms of voiceovers, because it's such a distinguishable voice. But also he's very committed. It's very natural. He seemed to be quite drunk through a lot of it. All of the performances were solid, and he just had a lovely tone that stood out.
And he has a great part. I think that's important. It is a good part. I mean, it's easy to play a drunk a bit, you know, it's easy to play a drunk wrong, but he didn't do that at all. I also thought Frances McNamee as Meg Dawson, sort of the jilted lover, was very, very good, along with the daughter. Yes, the daughter. Who was that? Let's have a look.
There's a daughter in there somewhere.
Nope.
The daughter was great. What was really nice about this piece is just that the
Katie
female
Moore, Ellen Dawson.
Katie Moore, she was great. Is that it's really strong female characters as well as strong male characters. There are really strong female characters, which is what I love as well. Strong, independent woman, young woman looking to run away to London to pursue her own ambitions. who had her own voice as well.
And her own agenda. And that's the nice thing about the story. On the face of it, it's about one thing, but there's a huge amount of character development. I wish I could give some of the character development notes from this piece to some of the other pieces we've seen, you know, where the characters just feel that they're there to tell a story and not much else. But no, in this, they all had their personality, and I liked that a lot. I think standout, got to give a mention to 59 Productions for the projection and design.
I was going to say about the set and the design.
Yes.
What do you think of that?
Thought it was phenomenal. Now, 59 Productions are the go-to at the moment. They did all the projection for An American in Paris, which was beautiful, and it's so engaging from an audience point of view. Not only the way that the projections happened. With 59 Productions, I tend to find their things, you don't sit by and just accept them. They almost feel interactive. Do you know what I mean? Like, you feel engaged in the projections. Sometimes they can just be a backdrop, but with these, they suck you in.
Yeah, the projection was fantastic. A lovely use of lighting, gauzes that came in, projected on top of. Really quite, especially come the end, it was really uplifting, really rousing, and the projection did help with that.
Also great, must shout out to Lucy Hine, the movement director. I thought there were moments of choreography and fight scenes and things like that, which were just beautifully staged, that felt utterly as they should. They felt like they had a place. They didn't
feel grounded.
Yes, absolutely.
This isn't a 42nd Street show. No. It isn't. It's a gritty, real piece.
And it would be very easy to make it camp, you know, by putting a song and dance number into a place that it shouldn't be, but it didn't feel like that at all, which I think when you're dealing with a subject matter like this is a very clever thing. Well done.
So you're probably wondering how many legs the Breaker-Leggers are going to give The Last Ship, which is currently on tour.
For The Last Ship, we are going to give
4 legs for this piece.
Yeah, I just think the score in some places and the way that's tied into the action isn't always succinct. It's not always, it doesn't feel natural, and that for me is the only real letdown. But you know, as a play, it's phenomenal. It's gritty, it's edgy, and it's performed with an amazing amount of talent and skill and a beautiful lightness of touch.
Yeah, lovely score, fantastic talent, presented with real gusto. Similar to you, I think the music was just disjointed. If anything, too many applaud points. I would love to have seen some songs just driven through for underscore and segued into the next numbers. I think that would have really driven the piece through. There's music of Sting, so maybe he wanted individual songs. Yeah, but this has been rewritten as well since its original production in Chicago and on Broadway. So who knows? The
second act again felt saggy, but you know, you could have shaved 10 minutes off the runtime by just cutting out those applause points. Get through it and drive the story home. But you know what? That's just what we think. It's
just what we think. It ended on a high, and that's what we thought. What did you think? Let us know. Comment below.
We'd love to hear from you. We're the Breaker-Leggers, and we'll catch you again soon. Bye!